Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. And, it's the perfect time to start planning your 2019 vacation. And so with me today is Melanie Fish. She is joining us from VRBO, the site to book beach houses, cabins, condos, and more, to share booking tips for renting a vacation home. And I've been talking about how much I love traveling and staying in vacation homes. Melanie, thanks for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me. Booking a vacation is the easiest New Year's resolution to keep, don't you think? It's fun.
I agree, and I love it.
Yeah, and January really is the time to really start planning that trip, especially if you're part of a group or a family that wants to rent a house or a condo, because January is the busiest booking month of the year on VRBO. And those are people who are booking their stays for spring break, but they're also booking all the way through summer vacation. The number of people who book in January skyrockets. So if you really want the place that you want to stay, in the location you want, with all the amenities you want, at the price you want to pay, January is really the time to do it.
That's good to know, because I feel like a lot of people think about booking trips during the holidays, and then maybe they think, oh, maybe not so much in January, but January really is the time, especially if you want to book for your summer trip or spring break or anything like that, or even in January, because that's when airline tickets go down in price.
I'm also pleasantly surprised with the number of homeowners on VRBO who have generous cancellation policies. Mm-hmm. So there are quite a few that have 60, 90-day cancellation policies. So if you're booking in January, and if you're like me, it's just hard to take that final step and actually put the credit card in there. But there are so many homeowners that do have those generous cancellation policies that it kind of eases your mind a little bit. So you can look for those if you're not sure you're ready to commit.
Right, exactly. But what's so great about a site like VRBO is that, like you've said, you can search for so many different things and you can narrow it down to what you really want. I know I filtered for homes with a crib or a high chair when I was planning my last trip on VRBO, because traveling with a toddler can be tough, but having the comforts of home takes a little of the stress away.
Well, it should. It should take the stress away. Our number one amenity filter that people use is swimming pool. Most people seem to want that private pool when they rent a vacation home. Mm-hmm. I travel with my 2 teenage daughters, so I need to make sure there are enough bedrooms that everybody can spread out. And sometimes I want to look for a house that doesn't have a TV in every room, because that's not why we're there. So all those little details in each unique vacation home are important to the person who's booking.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any tips for friends and families planning a vacation when separated?
Okay, this is very cool. So when you go to VRBO on the app or VRBO.com and you start looking for your ideal vacation home, your perfect match for your next vacation, you put in the dates and you put in the location, and it'll pop up everything that's available. And then you start narrowing down, as we've talked about, by the amenities we're looking for. I definitely want a pool. I definitely want to be on the beach. I only want to spend this much. And it really starts narrowing the list. But then that's really just where the fun starts. It's almost like Pinterest. You can get lost in looking at all the amazing photographs and reading the reviews, but then you don't want to try to keep track, on a piece of paper or copying and pasting links to the properties you like. So you just click on the heart next to the listings that you want, and it will save to a trip board that you can name whatever you want. You can organize by possibilities for summer vacation 2019 or girls getaway or family reunion. And then you can share that trip board with all the people you're planning to travel with in 2019, and they can have a say in the planning. So I think that is an easy way to keep track. And then when you go back and check it the next week or even the next day, if a property is still available, it's still there. And if it's not available on those dates any longer, it's kind of grayed out. So
right. That is terrific. I love that. I love that everybody can see what's going on from where they are. And then this way you can all make a decision.
Oh, exactly. It's a lot of pressure to be the planner. I'm the planner in my family, and I know that you're the planner in your family, and it's a lot. So you kind of want people's opinions, so that no one can say they weren't consulted.
Right, exactly. And the thing I love about vacation homes, other than the extra space, has been immersing myself into the culture of the region. What would you recommend for finding the right neighborhood?
If you have a neighborhood in mind, I say go straight to the map. And I really love a feature on the VRBO app that lets you pull up the map for the location that you're searching, and you can just use your finger to actually scribble on an area on the map and see all the homes that are available in that neighborhood. So I really like that. And then also look at the distance to the point of interest that you're interested in that's there on the listing, so you know how far away you are. For example, I live in North Austin, but I wouldn't recommend friends who are coming here to rent a vacation home stay in North Austin. I would recommend they go to South Austin. It's just a really vibrant place with lots of cool restaurants and shops. And so you can pull up on the VRBO app a map of the area and actually take your finger and scribble in the places that you want to see vacation homes available. And I love that. You can circle a whole area or just sweep down a coastline if you want to make sure you're on the beach. And it's just another fun way to search and narrow down what you're looking for to specific parts of a city or destination.
I agree. I think immersing yourself in the culture is a wonderful part of traveling. Is there anything you should keep an eye out for when you start to book?
More information is better, and I say read it all. The beauty of vacation homes is that each one is unique. The challenge is that each one is unique, so you really want to read the entire listing to make sure you don't assume there's air conditioning. Make sure there's air conditioning if that's important to you. Make sure you know what the cancellation policies are. Some people might let you cancel 60 days out. Some might not let you cancel at all. So you really want to make sure you understand that. Whether or not your pets can come along. There are great pet-friendly properties, but when they say pets are allowed, do they mean that there's a weight limit on a dog? So you just want to make sure that you're reading all the information so that there are no surprises either on the homeowner's part or your part.
I've had great success with homeowners providing recommendations and an overall good booking experience. Is there any other precautions travelers should take?
Common sense. It's always about common sense. First, I would start with VRBO or another one of the big booking sites like our sister site, HomeAway.com, because when you book and pay through a site like that, you enact the book with confidence guarantee, which protects you in case of someone wrongfully withholding a damage deposit, or if in the very rare case something were to go wrong, there's 24-hour customer service there to help you. So I think that's tip one. And really, I would say it's true whether you're renting a vacation home or doing any other sort of travel. Look into travel insurance. The agreement that you're making is between you and the person who owns the home. So if they have a no cancellation policy and weather prevents you from getting to the home, it would really be nice to be covered by travel insurance. And I think, better safe than sorry.
Speaking of destination, what are the top destinations for travelers in 2019?
Well, here in the States, for domestic travel, the top trending destinations are around the Great Smoky Mountains and Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Those are really fun getaways. And, I haven't been to Dollywood yet, I'm ashamed to say. So I have to put that on my list. And when they're not headed for the mountains, people want to go to the beach. So Gulf Shores, Alabama is popular year after year. Panama City Beach, Miramar and Rosemary Beach, that area right down the coast. And then, of course, Maui is a top destination for domestic travelers. And then internationally, people are renting vacation homes around the world, and Paris is a top destination. I've actually stayed in 2 different vacation homes in Paris. Both were amazing experiences. One looked right out at the Eiffel Tower, and my kids were there with me. It was amazing. That's a great memory. And Puerto Penasco, Mexico is a top destination. London, Rome, and Florence are our top international destinations.
Yes, and I can vouch for places like Rome, Tuscany, Venice, having amazing vacation rental homes that are close to everything and absolutely gorgeous. Where can people go for more information on VRBO and HomeAway?
VRBO.com or that VRBO app I love it. When you have a little bit of downtime, just start looking through some of the possibilities and let your imagination go.
I absolutely love the VRBO app. I sit on the subway and I scroll and I try to see where do I want to stay next, and I can easily write to all of the owners. I absolutely love it. Melanie, thank you so much for joining me again today. I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Happy travels.
You too. And if you're looking for destination ideas, you can always head to my website, passportmommy.com, and it'll show you all kinds of places you can go with and without your little ones. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
And I love having people on the show who are doing some great things for kids. And for that, I have Michael Deutsch with me. He runs Hands on Hoops, and he's helping kids between the ages of 2 and 16 with their basketball and transferable skills. Hi, Michael. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, hi, Michelle. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit about Hands on Hoops and how long you've been doing it for.
Absolutely. So, Michelle, I've actually been running Hands on Hoops now for about 8.5 years. And I started out with kids that were between the ages of 7 and 16, and just couldn't get enough of the feedback that I was getting from parents. They were so happy with the fact that their kids were being built up and getting stronger with skills as well as mentally, feeling stronger and more confident.
That's great. So what exactly? Yes, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So then I realized about 18 months ago, it's actually the really young kids between the age of 2 and 6 who need that same energy, who need the same coaching. They actually just need to reach a basket and feel good about themselves. And so I just took it from that point on.
Yeah, and I have a 21-month-old, and I know that she loves when she gets close to a basketball net. She gets such a thrill of putting the ball in the net. But, like a lot of them, she can't necessarily reach, so I have to give her a boost. But you solved that issue.
Yes, I do. And what I do is I bring adjustable baskets out to the park, or I have it at Elliott's Gym on 86th Street, or on 70th Street at Appleseeds. And so I have the basket there and the small basketballs and also accessories so kids can work on their footwork.
That's great. So now
yeah,
you're based in New York City, which is wonderful because so many people could take advantage of this. For anybody listening who's not in New York City, what are some tips you can give them just to help their kids develop the confidence and the skills when it comes to basketball and other sports?
Absolutely. So as far as what they can do is realize that nothing is personal with kids, okay? So when kids are missing a basket or they're not doing something correctly, it's okay, and it's kids just being kids. So not to be too hard on them. Keep everything light. So in other words, make it fun so kids can actually learn through having fun, being silly and goofy.
Right, exactly.
Like
because I
really
think parents sometimes are so serious and they're more about the game than the kids are.
That's exactly right. So.
Yeah. So what kind of work are you doing now with autistic kids, children with Down syndrome?
Mm-hmm. So what I do with them is really a continuation of what I do with other kids, and that is be patient, all right? Figure out what level they're on, put them through my own test to see what they can handle, and then we progress from there. So I had a kid with Down syndrome, and we just took it step by step. I was speaking with his mom to get some feedback from the caregiver that he had. And so I realized that, hey, he can really handle shooting the basketball at a basket that's 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to be patient with him, be encouraging, show him a couple of little things, and at the end, he actually, after showing him all this, he came over to me and hugged me. It was one of the most beautiful things that I've experienced.
That's incredible. And you really are making such a difference. And it's things like this. It's activities. It's more than just the academics that really get kids the confidence that they need to strive just in to give the kids confidence they need to thrive in so many different situations. Michael, where can people go for more information on Hands-On Hoops and on everything that you're doing?
They can go to my Facebook page and they could see Hands-On Hoops. They could also see Michael Deutsch on Facebook. And also I have a lot of YouTube videos out there, and they can see how the process is and how I operate, and see even parent testimonials.
Perfect. That sounds great. Well, I look forward to checking out the YouTube videos. Michael, thank you so much for joining me today on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And I appreciate the work that you are doing as well for moms.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot. Have a great rest of the day. And so with the holidays over, I prefer to travel in January when airfare goes way down and you can find much better deals. And after becoming a mom, I also realized that there was a much better way to travel with the family by renting a vacation home. So now I only use vrbo.com when I go away. I have found gorgeous homes in places like Sarasota and all over Italy. I stayed exclusively in VRB homes in Rome, Tuscany, Florence, and Venice, and had amazing experiences. The homes are spacious, they're clean, and the hosts are very helpful. So to book your next vacation home, just head to vrbo.com. That's vrbo.com. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Jen Slaw. She is an amazing speaker, juggler, and mom, and she's going to talk about how she juggles it all. More coming up next. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy, and I'm really excited to have with me Jen Slaw because for so many reasons, not only is she such a talented mom and she is literally juggling it all right now, but we were in the same birthing class when we were pregnant. And so we've been down the same path, and just to see how much she has done, well, she was doing before she gave birth and now is still doing after she gave birth is incredible. Jen, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me, Michelle.
Sure. So tell everybody a little bit about your background because it's very impressive.
Sure. Well, I started out as a structural engineer and ultimately decided that it was too boring for me and quit my engineering job to become a professional juggler. When I tell everyone that, nobody quite believes me, but I had learned to juggle in middle school and it was a hobby for many years. And ultimately, it was something that I wanted to see if I could do professionally. I had moved to New York City. I was meeting more and more entertainers who were making a living performing. And so I quit my job to see if I could make it as a professional juggler. And I did for many years. That's what I did. Toured, did some cruise ships, got to appear on Letterman, had some really amazing experiences as a juggler. Along the way, I got involved with a charity called Juggling Life that was using juggling as a way to inspire young people to really redefine what's possible in their lives. And I was just so inspired by what the group was doing. I was ultimately invited to speak at a TEDx conference about the work the charity was doing and about how we were helping kids to redefine what's possible. And that really was the catalyst to get me thinking about ways to use principles of juggling to incorporate them into trainings, into keynote presentations for corporations and associations, and use these principles to help us be more effective, more strategic, better performers in our work and our life. And so that's what I do now. I take sort of elements from the corporate engineering world, from the world of performing and juggling, and the charity work that I did, and combine all those things to conduct interactive keynote experiences at conferences and training experience that utilize juggling and the actual physical experience of juggling to help people learn how to work together more effectively and be more effective in their lives and in their work.
That's incredible. And it's such a unique type of skill that so many people cannot do. And
Hmm.
so I think people are always just in awe when they see an amazing juggler like yourself. And I know you have this signature thing that you do with a lot of different people when you meet them called, is it when you hug them and you juggle?
Huggling, yes,
Yes.
huggling. And that came out of an off-Broadway show I was doing where the man and woman come together. We always said instead of like a Broadway show where you go into song to tell the story, we would go into a juggling act to tell the story. And so we came together in what's called a huggle, where you hug and juggle around behind the person's back. And it sort of became, I challenged myself to a 30-day huggling challenge where I would huggle a different person in New York City every day. And it just sort of became this crazy social movement. I got to huggle Al Roker at the Today Show and some really fun people. So I do that. Yeah, that's my signature.
That's awesome. That's incredible. So what kind of formula do you use when training, or not necessarily training, but when giving a presentation to a big corporation? What are some of the things that you go by and that people can look up to you when you speak to them about?
Sure. Well, I encourage people to adopt what I call the juggler's mindset, a way of thinking that really helps us to be more present and ultimately more fulfilled in our work and life. And it has a few components, really just understanding what the goal is. In juggling, we're trying to learn how to juggle 3 balls. That's what the process I'm going to walk them through. It's then embracing a growth mindset, understanding that our skills really can be cultivated through effort and through practice, and then putting into place a system of deliberate practice where you're open to feedback, you're trying to improve one aspect of your life at a time so you're not getting overwhelmed. And then I walk them through 4 key principles. I like acronyms, makes it easy to remember. Mm-hmm. So I have what I call my ball formula, because the whole process of juggling starts with a single ball. BALL, break it down, ask for help, learn from the drops, let it go. And what I have found is these 4 principles are really a great key to come back to, in work. I find myself embracing them in life as well when I'm feeling stuck. So, just quickly taking you through them, break it down. It's so important to focus and prioritize what we want to be focusing on. A lot of people think of juggling as multitasking. You're doing so many different things at once, when really it's not at all multitasking. Juggling is completely about focus. And even if you have if you're juggling a few different things, there's one ball in the air at a time, and your job for that split second is to focus on that ball. So it's really looking at how can we better prioritize and focus on one thing at a time amidst all these moving parts. And then we can kind of look at how we connect the different pieces of our lives in creative ways. And there's so many studies that show that, we're more balanced, we're more fulfilled when we combine the different aspects of our life and integrate them. So it's looking at taking those pieces, but then connecting them. When you're juggling, it's all about the throws and the catches and the timing between the balls. And you have to look at those connections to create new patterns for yourself. So that just kind of sums up the idea of breaking it down.
Yeah. And it's a great metaphor for being a mother too, because I know you've experienced this and I've experienced this and so many others, is that you have this wonderful new being in your life and you want to devote every single second to them, but you still have to devote time to whether it's your career or anything else that you have going on in your life, taking care of your home. And I think many women struggle with how to focus and juggle it all.
Mm-hmm. It's not easy. I mean, just yesterday I found myself, I work from home, and that's one of the, I'm sure you can relate, one of the biggest challenges, because in some ways you're never really at work and you're never really home. And it's like the dishes just have to sit there because I have to be focused right now on getting a proposal out. So it's challenging, but it's finding those little pockets of time. And I find, setting time blocks for myself it can be a helpful piece of that as well. And then, of course, asking for help. That's a huge component of being a mom. And I think it can be hard for women, especially, to admit that we need help and to ask for help. But I talk about it all the time in my corporate trainings. We can accomplish so much more when we work together effectively, when we learn how to communicate, and, we ultimately come up with more creative ideas when we're working together. So it's, reaching out, building that support network, building that community of other moms or of, your family or friends or people who can help support you, taking care of the child. I'm really lucky that I have a mom and in-laws nearby that can help me. I don't think I'd be able to do what I'm doing with traveling and with working if I didn't have that. So that's a huge piece.
Yeah, and that is huge. And they always say it takes a village, and it is so true. And I never quite understood that until having a daughter. And with my family not necessarily so close by, it is a wonderful thing. And something that I have had to also adjust to is asking for help. So even if it's not my family, saying it's okay to get a babysitter, it's
Yes.
okay to bring her somewhere for a couple of hours.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So what are some other things that you have coming up? I know you're thinking about so many different ideas, which is incredible. I love how your mind works.
Yes, lots of good things in the works. Well, one of the challenges since I've become a mom is that I do want to spend more time with my son,
Right.
and find creative ways to incorporate him into what I'm doing. And as I said, ultimately, I believe we can feel more balanced. I think balance really doesn't exist, but
Right.
But it's being present and it's integrating these different pieces of our lives. So I'm starting to build a community of other moms and dads as well who are creative freelancers, entrepreneurs who have maybe more flexible schedules, like we do, and have children that they want to be spending more time with and be ultimately nurturing their own children's creativity more and their learning experience, and kind of looking at how can the two be combined so that as you're nurturing your child's creativity, that work can also, be helpful in informing decisions that you're making in your own business. I was just watching my son build with Legos yesterday, and I'm building up, making these tall towers, and he's just insisting on building out and filling this whole building plate, one level of like this patchwork of different colors. And I would have never really done that, and I'm thinking, this is actually a lesson that can be applied to what I'm doing now. Maybe I can start to build out a community before I necessarily have all the content and exact project figured out. So but that's exactly what I mean. It's like, how can we utilize this work that we're doing with our children, which is so important, and have that, kind of inform our businesses, because we all get, I think, a little less creative as we get older. We have all these things that we need to do, and tapping into their creativity can, I think, really help inform that.
I agree. I love watching my daughter and just seeing the things that she does. And it amazes me. And I think, how did you know to do that? Or how did you think to do that? And
Yes.
it really is a wake up call, because we are so just entrenched with so many other things in life. And just over the years, we just are not as fresh in our thinking as somebody who's just looking at it like, hey, this is me. This is what I'm doing. It's natural. It's fresh.
Yes. Definitely, and looking at those new possibilities, just being open to new things and letting go. That's one of the things I often talk about, letting go of patterns that aren't working. We kind of get stuck in these certain patterns, but letting that go and just being open to those new possibilities.
Yeah.
So important.
Absolutely. And so we still have a few more minutes. So I want to talk about some more mom stuff. But before I forget, where can people go just to read more about you and everything that you offer for, all of your services, whether it's a corporate event or anything else that you're doing?
Sure. Best place is to go to my website, which is jenslawspeaks.com, jenslawspeaks.com. And all my contact information will be there. People can sign up on the website for a mailing list. All the social media information is there as well. And I would say moms in particular can follow on Instagram, JenSlawgram, which is where I'll be revealing some of these new projects as they come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. That's really exciting. So projects aside right now, what is your son up to these days? What is he doing?
He's loving tools. And he's loving Legos. He's into building. Yes, he walks around saying, I like tools. So Santa brought him a new workbench for Christmas, and he takes his toy screwdriver and he goes around the house and he finds little nuts and bolts that need to be tightened. So that's pretty fun. And he's really into building. He loves blocks and Legos. And so that's fun, for me with a background in structural engineering, that's fun to watch. My husband is also an engineer. And so now he says, when we ask him, what does daddy do? He says engineer. And what is mommy? And what is mommy? Engineer too, and juggler.
Wow, that's great. And it just goes to show, it's so funny, the differences. And obviously this is not across the board. Guys, boys can do girly things and girls can do boy things. But my daughter is all into the dolls, and she's all into dressing up the dolls, putting them in diapers, brushing their teeth. It's
that's
really
funny. Well, my son does have one. He has one boy baseball friend doll. And the other day, he dumped all the contents of this huge basket on the floor, including the doll. And I walked into his room and I said, Gianluca, who did this? And right away, without missing a beat, he said, Baby Jojo, which is the name of his doll. It was hysterical.
That's very funny. That's very funny. And does he have words that you don't quite understand that he's saying? You're like, what is he saying?
Yes, definitely. He's still working on that.
Because she does, every time she throws something, she says like, I don't know, "Fi ta-ta." And I don't know, but it's every single time she throws something. I'm like, okay.
Especially when he gets worked up, when he's starting to get into that little bit of tantrum where he's not getting something he's wanting. It sounds like he's speaking in tongues.
Right. Exactly. That's very funny. Well, I look forward to seeing you both again soon. Jen, thank you so much for joining me again today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Michelle.
Sure. Again, it's JenSlawSpeaks.com and Jen Slawgram on Instagram. An amazing woman, so motivational. You have to check out her work. And if you're having a corporate training or function of any kind, you definitely want to give her a call. So, I love to travel, but you know what they say when you have young kids, it's really no longer a vacation, but more like a trip, and a trip that can be exhausting. However, I found one way to make it a whole lot easier. You rent a vacation home at vrbo.com. Instead of paying for 2 or more rooms in a hotel, you get a whole house, full kitchen and a washer and dryer, so you don't have to eat out every meal. This is especially helpful if you have a little one that needs a nap or they need to go to bed early. And I can also pack less because I can wash my clothes along the way. And we know how much a lifesaver that is with the amount of packing we need to do as moms. So to book your next vacation home rental, just go to vrbo.com. That's vrbo.com, and you can book your vacation home, your beach rental, a cabin. They have everything. And if you are looking for ideas of places where you can go, you can always go to my website. It's passportmommy.com. And I have all kinds of articles about destinations and places that you are going to want to check out either with your kids, or maybe you need a getaway. You need a mom getaway. Who doesn't need those? And you can get some ideas from there. And also you can sign up once you're on the website for my mailing list, because we do giveaways. And I would love to include you in the next contest. You can also follow Passport Mommy on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. And you can always email me, Michelle@passportmommy.com, if there's a topic that you'd like to hear talked about on the show, or maybe you have a question of any kind. Thank you so much. Coming up next, we are going to talk with Mickey Rubin. He is the executive director of the Egg Nutrition Center, on why eggs are so important in our diet. More coming up next. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
And I'm really thrilled to have our next guest on, Dr. Mickey Rubin. He is the executive director of the Egg Nutrition Center. And I'm just psyched to talk about eggs, because I have to tell you, if it wasn't for eggs, I don't think my daughter would eat half of what she eats. And I don't think my husband would actually make my daughter any food. So Dr. Rubin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me. And I got to tell you, your house and my house are very similar. Eggs are one of the few nutrient-dense foods we can get our little ones to eat as well. So it's also one of the the things that I'm known in our house of being able to make as well.
Yeah. And it's funny because before my daughter was born, my husband said, I don't cook, I can't cook, I'm never going to cook for you. And I was like, oh, that's wonderful. And I thought, he's never going to cook for our daughter either when he's watching her. But he's really come up with some really cool things to do with eggs, because he'll blend up all kinds of vegetables and he'll sneak them into the eggs, and she'll never know. And it's a great way for her to get so many nutrients.
Absolutely. And he's doing a couple of things there, because it's, eggs are chock full of choline, which is important for brain development and for both infants, toddlers, and throughout later in life. So we're getting all that really great nutrition for brain development and cognitive function. But there's also great research that shows when you pair your eggs with vegetables, the nutrients in those vegetables are absorbed better because you're getting a lot of those healthy fats from the eggs to help that along. So a lot of good things going on there when you're combining your eggs with your vegetables for your little ones.
Nice. And, also you talk about the choline. If you have a woman who is pregnant, it's really good for her to consume a lot of eggs as well, right? For the fetal development.
Absolutely. Choline, we're learning so much more about that in the science. It's really becoming sort of like that folic acid nutrient requirement that, we always hear about with pregnancy. There's research to show that moms who consume more choline during pregnancy, there's better cognitive outcomes with those infants and toddlers later in life. So it's really exciting what we're learning about the benefits of eggs these days.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Clearly, this family is. Are there any types of eggs that you recommend over another, organic versus cage-free versus your regular eggs?
People choose, there's a lot of different eggs out there for people to choose, and people choose a lot of different types when you go to the grocery store. But when it comes to nutrition for people, eggs are really eggs. Whether it's cage-free, whether it's, conventional, whether they're white or whether they're brown, you're going to get the same nutrient package no matter what. So, you can rest assured that eggs are eggs, and whatever egg you choose, you're going to get the nutritional quality that you're looking for.
Well, that's great to hear. And also, I think a myth that's been out there for a little while, I know I used to only order egg white sandwiches or egg white omelets, and I would always say no yolk, because it was like this evil thing. But there's really no information for that. And actually, most of the nutrients are in the yolks, aren't they?
Absolutely. Do not toss the yolk. That's where all the vitamins and minerals are. We talked about the choline, the vitamin B12, the zinc, the selenium. It's all in the yolk. And when you toss the yolk, you're tossing those nutrients as well. People ate the egg whites for the protein, and that's fine. But little do people know that 40% of the protein in the egg is actually in the yolk. So you're tossing some of the protein as well when you toss the yolk. And at the same time, it's delicious. I mean, that's the delicious part of the egg too. So you're tossing the nutrients, tossing the deliciousness. No, I would keep it all, eat the whole egg, absolutely.
Okay. And for those who are worried about their cholesterol, is there anything to that with the yolks?
That's sort of that science has evolved tremendously over the years. The dietary guidelines for Americans no longer list cholesterol as a nutrient of concern, and that's really because we learned from the science over the years that the cholesterol that you eat does not significantly impact the cholesterol in your body. So it's not really much concern anymore, and now we're starting to talk about and learn about the benefits of eggs and all these unique nutrients that you're getting from eating your eggs.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people go for more information to read about you, the Egg Nutrition Center?
They can go to eggnutritioncenter.org.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mickey Rubin, for joining me today. Very informative. And I'm glad that I got confirmation on the amount of eggs that I'm eating, that I'm feeding my daughter, is a very nutritional thing to do. Thank you so much. And don't forget, you could always check out the website, passportmommy.com. Sign up for our email list. We do giveaways all the time. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And on my website, passportmommy.com, you can hear this show and any other show from previous weeks that you may have missed. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I look forward to talking to you soon. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson